Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I'm live here from Contact in the Desert. And I just met up just the other day with Chris Bledsoe Jr. If you know his father, Chris Bledsoe, he is a UFO sensation. He is wrote the book UFOs of God. That is really a number one bestseller out there. And he brought in a new frequency of heart opening love, higher consciousness to the UFO field. So he's one of the keynote speakers. But Chris Bledsoe Jr. was sort of the reason that your father met the phenomena in the first place. And this is probably one of the first times you're telling your story. So
one of the first, for sure.
thank you.
For sure.
So the story, as your father tells it, you were camping out with some people around the campfire and not camping, you're just hanging out there.
Fishing. We were
Fishing. Oh, right. Fishing. You're 17. That was like, how long?
It was in 2007.
Almost 20 years ago.
Close to it, yeah.
Right. So you're there and your father wanders off because he doesn't like fishing. And then he's gone for a long time.
He loves to fish.
Oh, he
but
does?
He was good. Yeah, oh, yeah. He's an
Okay.
amazing fisherman,
Okay.
actually. Best fisherman, one of the best fishermen I've ever known.
Mhm.
But he was just going through a lot mentally at the time.
Oh, right,
And
right.
he just wasn't feeling it that day. But he's a big
So, but
fisherman.
anyway, he went off, kind of took a walk, but he was gone for hours, right?
For quite a long time. Yeah.
And then you wanted to see where he was.
Sure. Man, the whole crowd was kind of wondering where he was at that point.
And so now that's where your story begins.
That's where it all starts.
So
yeah.
You're looking for him. He hasn't been there. And so what happens to you?
So me and the guys, we were still on the riverside fishing, and
Right.
and I was thinking, man, what happened to Dad?
Right.
And we started talking about it. So, we the way that the river is set up, there's this where we were fishing. There's this long path that goes way out of the street. I don't know how long, maybe a mile. So
Right.
we were way back in the woods off the Cape Fear River, and the guys wanted to get in the truck and go down the path to look for him because we thought he'd went in that direction. And
Were you worried about him or?
we were worried, and
okay.
just kind of wondering where he was.
Because it was like
3 or 4 hours
okay,
later or
okay,
something
okay.
like that.
Yeah, right.
And
So you wanted to get in the truck but
I didn't get in the truck.
okay.
We came up this embankment. There's this long path and there's a field, and the river kind of parallels the field there, and there's this deep embankment that gets down to this little beach where our fishing setup is. We had a little fire and fishing poles, and me and the guys walked up this embankment, and we were looking down this path, and I saw these two little red balls of light. They were just they were floating.
Little orbs of light.
Yeah, I didn't think of that back then. I thought that maybe it was a military flashlight, because I thought there were people.
Right, so they're in the distance, and
Way
it's
down
just
the path.
nothing unusual about that, or I mean, a little.
Yeah, it was a little weird because
Okay.
you don't see that often. I mean,
So you're
who carries
heading.
a red flashlight?
You're on your own, looking for your father up the path.
I pointed out to the guys.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
hey, look, there's two little red balls of light, and this guy that I was with, Gene, he was like, quit messing with me, June. He didn't see it. And man, I thought his eyes were bad or something.
You were both in the same place. You saw it, and he did not see it.
Yeah, I pointed it out. I mean, it was a long ways away, and they were right off the ground, just two little red balls of light. And they decided to get in the truck and leave down the path, and I stayed behind. And
why'd you stay behind? Because you were looking for your father.
Yeah, I was gonna just sit back and wait for him in case he came back by, and I just stayed with the fishing poles. I figured that they would handle it.
And the little red balls were still in the distance.
And they had went into the woods parallel to the river on
the red balls of light went into the woods.
Yeah,
okay.
They had went. And they were like right off the ground. But,
and you thought they were just some kind of military thing.
Yeah, I thought they were people.
Right.
I thought somebody was down that path with a red flashlight, maybe, and because the military used to use red flashlights, I believed at one point.
Right.
And The guys
So,
got in the truck and left.
and you're left
I'm
alone
left alone and
at the fishing site.
at the fishing site.
Okay, okay.
And for some reason, I just went into across the field,
Hmm.
opposite of the river,
Hmm.
and I went right on into the wood line.
Why did you look?
And I don't know to this day why I did that. I assume maybe I didn't want to be seen,
Right,
reconnaissance, or
right.
just I don't know. I just did it, and
You maybe you're afraid they,
would
you
see me. I'd get
and
caught out there. You never
right,
know.
yeah,
Back in the country
mhm,
woods, you
right. So
never
you
know.
went into the woods on your own just to kind of get away from.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I sat right there in the wood line, and I was watching, and by the time the truck was gone, long gone, and I was by myself out there, there were these two little. Um, they came out of the wood, the corner where the path
Mhm.
ends and the field begins,
Right.
right on the edge of the water side of the path.
The lights came out of that.
There's woods on both sides,
Right,
but
but
yeah, they came out of the path, and they were no longer just two little balls. I could see that they were two little figures, and they had red eyes,
you could see
and
them that close. You could see they.
and at this time they were probably 20 or 30 yards away,
Mhm.
maybe.
And so there were two of them. So you saw four red lights basically
Yep,
at that point coming
yep,
out of the
yep. That's
woods.
right. Four red
Okay.
lights. They were
Okay.
two little 3 foot tall beings.
Hmm.
They were 3 or 4 foot tall, and they had uh, bigger red eyes that didn't quite look symmetric. They looked too big to be their eyes. Like,
Right. Right.
mine and you, we look normal.
And they're
They
about
didn't look uh,
right. They looked much bigger
proportionate to
than yeah.
their little bodies.
And they're about 3 to 4 feet.
Mhm.
And they were, could you tell what they were wearing?
No, they looked very dark in color, but
Hmm.
almost translucent at the same time, like a shadowy figure
Hmm.
almost.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
but still a little darker than shadowy,
Mm.
I guess you could say.
Okay.
I explained them as like glass-like back in the day, because in my mind, when I explained it,
Mm.
they were translucent, or
You-
see-through
Well,
and
it's so weird.
dark.
I just want to say this was what, 18 years ago, and it's still so clear in your mind,
Yep,
right? It's
it's
like
burned into my
you could
mind.
you could see
Yeah,
it right now.
yeah.
That's
I'm
pretty.
envisioning it. Yeah.
So are they coming towards you? What happened?
They beelined it straight for me the whole. They came right for me.
Were they walking or floating
They
or
were
you?
walking,
Okay.
and they were. One of them was looking at me at all times, just like
Hmm.
you are.
Hmm.
I knew he was looking at me, and the other one was doing other things. He
Hmm.
was like scanning the area, looking around,
Oh.
and at one time he had bent over and picked up a little bottle,
Hmm.
and he looked at it and then sat it right back down. And
Hmm.
in the exact same place he picked it up from.
You thought that was
I
weird.
thought it was weird. Yeah, he didn't drop it or
So they make a
throw it
beeline
down.
towards you. What are you feeling at that time when they're coming
Oh, I
towards you?
knew right then. As soon as I saw them, I knew it wasn't normal. I was freaking slam out.
You were
I
like,
was petrified. Yeah, I was trying to yell and scream and run,
and you
and
did yell and scream,
I
but
did, but nothing was coming out. It was
oh,
all internal, every bit of it.
wow. And
I couldn't move, I couldn't run, I couldn't scream, and yeah, I was pretty petrified,
you were like frozen in place.
frozen in place. Yeah,
Wow. And then what happened?
and then so they're walking straight for me, and I can see the weirdest thing, and I know how crazy it sounds,
I know.
but they had two big red eyes, and their eyes moved differently. One of them would come down and
Hmm.
go back up, and then the other one would go down and come back up.
On both of
As
these
crazy as it
creatures.
sounds on both of them, yeah.
And that's how they were looking. So
That's how their eyes would blink or
mhm,
move. It almost looked like a shutter.
mhm.
It was flat. It just went down and came back up, and then the other one did.
They could have been mechanical or something, or they may, but
It didn't look natural,
right.
that's for
So
sure.
they are heading towards you
Hmm.
and you're freaked out. And then what
And
happens?
they got pretty close to me, and I could see out of the corner of my eyes light flashing through the woods, and there was the truck lights, them coming back,
Uh-huh.
and these creatures just they both turned and looked the other way, looked at the truck coming through the woods,
Right.
and they ran really quick and jumped into a pile of logs.
A pile of
There
logs.
was a pile of logs stacked
Oh,
up
and they
where,
jumped into the logs.
yeah, somebody had cut some trees down and they'd placed some logs,
Mhm.
and they kind of dove into this pile of logs,
Uh-huh.
and they were running to, and it looked like they were almost on all fours the way they were running. They were moving really fast, faster than you would think those little things could move.
Right.
And
So how close did they actually get to you?
probably 15 feet away,
And
12, really close,
so the other
really
guys
close.
show up and
And the pile of logs was kind of in between when the truck finally pulls
uh-huh.
up. The truck is here, the logs are here, and I'm in the edge of the wood line.
Right.
And my dad is yelling for my name. He's calling me June.
Junior.
June, yeah.
That's what he calls you.
Yeah, that's what he called.
Yeah,
He was
right.
yelling, June, June,
Right,
June.
right.
That's what I remember. And I come running out of the woods, and I could see, as I'm coming out, I can see these laying on the ground, these two little red eyes just open up. And I'm like, I look at them, and then they just close, and then I run out the woods.
You mean those creatures are laying on the ground as
Yeah,
you run by
on
them?
this side of the logs too, so
And
those guys couldn't see it.
so they're just laying there with their eyes and they're and
He opens them up for me to see him one more time,
that's
or
kind of weird,
just to
isn't
look
it?
at me one more time or something. I thought so, yeah.
Wow. So then you see these guys
Almost,
come.
almost to me, I
Mm.
always thought, man, that when I see them, I freeze. They could have just kept their eyes open, and I would have never, maybe they could have kept me there, but
Maybe
they let
they,
me go.
but maybe they did keep you there longer than you thought. Is that
It's possible because me and dad always had kind of a discrepancy on my time and his time. Because
oh,
to me, it never felt like it felt like 20 minutes or so. It didn't feel like 2 hours. But they
oh,
claimed that I was gone for a little bit of time,
right. So
longer than I believed.
right, because it didn't feel like 2 hours to you. It's
Right.
just and then so they do time dilation, these creatures. I don't know what happened.
That's what
So
I hear.
the guys come up. I mean, they're driving up and with your father at that point.
Yes,
Okay.
I come out of the woods. I'm like, Dad, you won't freaking believe what I just saw. I'm freaking out and probably traumatized, and I'm like, dude, I just saw a freaking creature, like a UFO, an alien.
Right.
And he's like freaking out, kind of, and telling me at the same time, I just saw this craft up at this.
Um,
And the guy, we were talking about it. I'm ready to go home.
you're still freaked out, right?
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
this just happened.
And
And
so you're
and
kind of you want to just get out of
yeah,
there.
then I knew that thing was still right behind me. And I'm trying to tell them they're not getting it.
Right.
And somebody's like, hey, look at that. And there's these stars up in the sky.
Mhm.
And they do this weird, they come down all from all over the sky, and they do this weird pattern.
Uh-huh.
Like they're like moving around together, and they did this pattern and shot a couple of them shot down, like, not far away, but right on the other side of the river.
Shut down beams of
Yeah.
light or shut
Just these little stars shot
oh,
down fast.
they came right
They
down.
like shot down over the edge of the
And
woods, man.
your father and the other guys saw that
We all
too.
saw it, and
Uh-huh.
they were like, "Okay, it's time to go."
And
So
they're freaked out too at
yeah,
that point.
man, we all jumped in the truck right then, and we bailed out of there
Your
like
father
bats out of hell. We dipped.
your father said there was a point in the road that was kind of special for him because he had know someone who had crashed over there in the
Oh
past.
yeah, yeah,
What did
yeah.
that have
On that highway,
yeah.
on that pretty much on that road
Yeah.
where it all happened,
Yeah.
about a mile or so
Hmm.
away. He had a wife before my mother,
Oh.
and she crashed and died right
At
there
right there on that road. And
on
it's the
that same
same
road. Yeah,
road that he had these
pretty
experiences
much.
on.
Yeah,
So
pretty
you
much.
you are heading back, but did and your father was gone for maybe a couple of hours too,
Yeah.
and you were gone, and then he hooked up with his fisherman friends, and then they came back for you. Is that what happened?
Yes. So he was gone. They went to look for him.
Hmm.
They found him, and then they came back to pick me up, and that's when all that took place.
But you were freaked
And
out.
yeah, we were freaked out, and we all got in the truck and we left. We got out of there. We left all our fishing poles behind, and
Wow, you
it
really
was crazy. It
probably a
was
lot
like
of
something out of a movie, really. We were all frantic.
everyone was freaked out.
And these are some tough guys too. They're not your average guy. They're,
Right.
hardened construction
Mhm.
workers, crew leaders. These guys were tough.
Your,
tough suckers.
your father said though when he saw it again with you, he wasn't as freaked out as when he saw
Yeah.
it up on the
He's
hill.
always been pretty chill.
Right.
I wasn't always that way, but he's always been really, really
And so
composed.
you get back home, then other things start happening, right?
Yeah, yeah. There were things on our way out that
Like
they
what?
were saying there was lights in the sky. And I mean, I was in my own world at that point. I was still kind of
You were
traumatized.
like in this shock state, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
And so
definitely.
and so he goes back, you go back home
We
with your
go,
father,
yeah,
and then
we all argued about where we're going, and we took the guys home. We finally made it home, and there was a whole thing there. You know,
yeah, what happened with the dogs when you got home? You wanted to
yeah,
lock all the doors, because you were
yeah,
still freaked
yeah.
out.
I was
Yeah.
grabbing guns and locking the doors, and we heard some dogs barking in the backyard, and went out there to check on
Mm-hmm.
what that was, what was happening, and you know, we had a big old Chesapeake Bay Retriever,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going to head into the woods, and I left.
You didn't want because
I didn't
you
want to. I was like, look, I'm not doing this. I went straight for my gun.
right.
I went into the house and I grabbed one of my rifle. I feel comfortable with a
Right.
rifle.
So if you
Um,
saw those guys with the red eyes again, you would have shot them probably, right?
well, back at that time,
Yeah.
maybe
Well, why
I
not?
wouldn't now, but yeah,
No, but they were freaking you out
yeah,
and you didn't know what they
I
were
didn't feel
here.
safe. Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't feel safe.
right.
Exactly. So that whole
Yeah,
time you went back home.
yeah.
So what happened? What was the,
I'm and he, I was at a place where I didn't have control of myself.
right,
So that's an incredible feeling to be in the woods alone and you don't have control of yourself.
right.
I didn't feel safe being out there in those woods without, some
Without a gun.
extra help.
I
Yeah.
understand that. So you
Yeah.
went though out with your father into the woods because your dogs were barking.
He went in the woods alone.
Oh,
I went the other way.
right. But he
I
thought
said,
you
see you
were,
later.
he thought you were behind him, didn't he
He
think?
did. Yeah.
Because and so what was he? Because the dogs were making some kind of loud racket. So
Yeah.
you went back to the
I
house,
went back to the house. Yeah.
and then what happened?
Not much more for me that night. But I don't want to speak for him.
No, no, everyone's
But
heard a story. I mean, a lot
yeah,
of people
yeah,
have
yeah,
heard a
of
story.
course.
So, and then, yeah, of
Because
course you can.
I ran from this whole thing. You know, after it happened, we got a lot of criticism from the family, from everybody I looked up to growing up. They all had something to say about it.
Right, because it
And
got out publicly
yeah,
that your father had seen these and you had seen
yeah,
these UFOs and these creatures, and then you. Why
exactly.
would you get ridiculed for telling people just what you
Something
saw?
what you saw. That's what you would wonder, but
Yeah,
um,
because
they're
it's
pretty
challenging.
critical over there on the East Coast,
Right,
and it's the Bible Belt.
right.
And if
They
you know
couldn't deal with
anything
it.
crazy that's outside of religion is probably evil. You know,
Right, because that's
psychics.
their like duality. It's either good or it's
It's
bad.
one or the other.
But
Yeah.
maybe, well, anyway, you've kind of come beyond that. But other weird things start to happen
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah. We saw many things.
Like what did you see?
Man, there's too many
What was the
stories to
first thing you
tell.
saw like after that night?
Um, it's hard to say what the exact, because it's so long ago. It's hard to tell you exactly what the
Right.
first thing was, but I've seen many other sightings after that. And maybe one of the first ones was I was with a buddy named Steven.
Mhm.
His dad is a prominent figure in the military,
Right.
and at Fort Bragg,
Mhm.
where we
Yeah,
lived,
yeah.
and me and Steven were just going out the back door for some reason. It's later in the evening, and we saw this just golden looking light
Mhm.
hovering right over the trees, and I was like, man, what is that? And I went to go grab my dad, like, hey, come out here, look at this.
Uh,
And when I came back, it had gone down behind the trees.
uh,
It was gone.
right.
And I was like, that's weird. And we were all talking about it. I was telling him what I saw, and Steven had seen it as well. And while we were talking, we look over and it was back.
Right.
It was sitting there. And I was like, look, there it is. He saw it. And I was like, dude, we need to go get my grandmother.
Yeah.
And because she lived next door, and they didn't believe me, any of it. So I went over there to knock on her door. I was like, hey, look, grandma, check this out. And it was gone again. It went right back down behind the trees again.
Wow.
So she never got to see it. But
Mm.
that was it for.
So, your father has become quite a figure in the UFO
Yeah.
world because he seems to be able to call them in. How do you relate to that? And can you do something? I mean, now you're coming out a bit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he calls them
Oh,
in.
okay.
That's a little extreme maybe,
Okay.
but I think he like asks or he might say a prayer or ask
Mhm.
and they just happen to show up. But um we all sometimes we all sky watch and get out there and
Right.
do the same thing, and we do have some pretty incredible sightings.
Right. And there was something about a tree burning. Did
Yeah,
you see
I
what
was
was
there
that?
for that.
What
Yeah.
happened with
Um
that?
it was like a rainy day. And I mean, it wasn't like a serious rain. There wasn't a lot of lightning or thunder. It was light, and somebody had called out, "Hey, there's something on fire!" And we went out there. There was this old dead tree. It
Mhm.
had been there most of our lives, and it was very, very dead.
Right.
There was no leaves on it,
Mhm,
nothing, and it had a
mhm,
hollow core
mhm.
um, yeah, all the way through the top of the
Right. It was just
tree.
one of those old dead trees.
Just an
Yeah.
old dead tree,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and it was burning on fire, and flames were shooting out the top and sparks and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And we tried to put it out over and over and over, and it would not go
What,
out.
what do you think that's about? Was it a
I have no
sign or
idea.
something?
I have
Has
no
that
idea.
happened once or more than once?
It was just the one time, that one tree.
Wow. And
Yeah,
there was
it stayed on fire for quite a long
and it
time,
didn't
over a
burn
day.
down though. Over a
No, it did.
day,
Yeah, I think it was like all night it burned. It
and it
was like
didn't
all night.
burn down.
And
It
it didn't
just,
burn
just
down.
the fire was almost like,
On the inside. It burned on the inside of the tree, on that
yeah.
in that hollow core.
Uh,
And we have photos much later,
mhm.
where there's still embers
Is that still
and
there, that
coal.
tree? Or you
I
not?
think the new owners cut it down.
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
didn't have any relation to us, and
They didn't
someone
know
else lives
anything
there now.
about
Yeah,
anything. Now there's another
years later
story with Grant Cameron,
with the
the
dog.
with the dog. What
Yeah,
happened with that? Were you there
I
for
was
that?
there for that.
What did
Yeah,
you see?
we had a black lab,
Uh-huh.
and the dog had been cut on the neck somehow, and it was bleeding really bad, and we were trying to get rags for it,
Mhm.
trying to help it and all, and
Right.
it just stopped bleeding.
Well, your father,
So
didn't he do some
yeah,
healing on the dog or
well,
something?
I think he just like touched it, and
And it stopped bleeding.
it stopped bleeding. Yeah,
It was kind of weird, right? It was all
yeah,
over Grant's clothes,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It
Grant's a
was
good guy.
yeah,
He wrote a
it
chapter in
happened.
my book. But
Really,
yeah, Grant wrote a
I didn't
chapter.
know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But
Okay,
but so
did he tell you about the story?
I think he did mention it
Really?
originally, and also Chris had mentioned it.
Yeah, he was there. It was kind of chaotic. The
Yeah, I
dog's
think
got a
that,
cut on its neck. It's
yeah, he
bleeding,
did.
and
I did hear him on a podcast. He didn't tell me directly that story, but he did talk about that.
awesome.
So what do you make of it? And I appreciate you.
I don't. I
What's
mean, to me, and I don't. Like I said, I ran from all this
right?
for a long time, and I'm only just getting into the scene.
Hmm.
I'm meeting all these incredible people, and honestly, I don't really know much about what any of them do,
Right.
just because I never really studied it.
Mhm.
Kind of lived it, but what do I make of it?
Yeah, like what's going on? I mean, because I don't think anyone
I
really
don't
knows.
know.
I don't
I
think
really
anyone
don't know.
knows.
No,
No,
I don't think Dad's healing anybody himself. I think that maybe he's channeling some.
a
That
higher
might be the
energy.
wrong word too,
Well, I
but
think he has
he's
a pretty high vibration
yeah. I think
because
there's something that's out there that we don't understand, and
Mhm.
it might be doing things that is miraculous.
Well,
Simple as
he
that.
was healed, right? He was pretty,
Yeah,
he talks about this. He had Crohn's and
yeah, he did.
when
He
he
did.
started,
I didn't graduate high school because I was so worried about him. He
oh,
was always like
really?
my closest friend. I did later on.
Yeah, you're really
As a
close.
matter of fact, the guy from NASA inspired me. He was
Mhm.
one of the guys that inspired me to go back to school.
Uh-huh.
Hal Povenmire was his name.
I don't know
I'm sure you've
him.
heard all about him. He was
I heard
close to
some
our
of it.
family,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
But he inspired you, so you graduated
I
school.
did. I went back much later when I was 24 years old. But he always told me that he'd give me some money if I graduated high school. This nasty guy.
Really?
Yeah, he sent me a card with like $10 in when I graduated. Yeah,
But
yeah,
why are you starting I mean, you're here at
yeah,
Contact in the Desert, some nice people here, right? And
yeah, yeah. It's
why
awesome.
why did you I mean, yeah, you were kind of away from this. Why did you start to kind of come out and integrate this?
Um, it didn't happen all at once.
Right.
I kind of I saw my brother doing the podcast. My
Ryan.
dad had the book,
Right.
and I did an episode with my brother with
Hmm.
his podcast, episode 42,
Right.
and I really instantly regretted doing it,
Well,
honestly.
I hope you don't
No,
regret
I
doing
don't
this.
now. I don't now,
Oh,
but
okay.
for like, I was very, very nervous. It was the
Why?
first thing that I'd done in like 15 years,
Wow.
probably. It was my true finally coming out of the
Yeah,
closet
yeah.
type ordeal.
Hmm.
And
You were nervous
and
about
yeah, dude, I didn't know
just,
if I wanted to be this guy or not.
well,
I've had to learn to accept that I didn't have a choice, but this is my path.
yeah, I mean, you don't
So
have to come out publicly, but
yeah,
something is here with you and your family,
yep,
and
that's without
it's a
no
really
doubt.
good thing. I
Sure.
think, your father's inspiring a lot of people.
Yeah,
He's, bringing to another level. It's not just these evil aliens,
sure. I don't think so.
but that did impact you that moment. You actually have a tattoo of those red
Yeah.
eyes. Can,
Yeah, you
can
want
you
to see it?
just, yeah, I think the camera should see that.
Yeah, it
So
meant something.
it did. So these eyes, so with a UFO over it,
And this is all like a cartoonish description that
right?
looked cool for the art, you know,
And
but
then,
the blackish dark figure with the red eyes is as pretty it
and,
symbolizes what I saw.
but it's so weird, and I hope you might ask. You were freaked out
Hmm.
and traumatized, but yet you have the reminder
Yeah.
of that right
Yeah.
here.
As a matter of fact, I know this is crazy, but
No, tell it.
for the longest time,
Yeah.
I kept a screen cover on my phone
Uh-huh.
of something I found on the internet that looked similar,
Oh,
a dark creature with. I'll show you
there
the
is that
photo.
moment of the Virginia case in
Yeah.
Brazil where those creatures had red.
Hmm.
Yeah, show us that what on your phone.
I kept that as my screen
Oh,
cover
wait,
for
oh,
many,
wait.
many years, actually.
Why? To
Uh,
kind of remind
to
you of
reinforce myself, yeah, because I always want to get over something if I have a
you,
problem. I'm a big scary man, and I didn't want to allow myself to be afraid. I'm not
so you
really. I'm a
kept it. Is
sweetheart.
this pretty much the I know you're a great guy,
It's not
but there
exactly
that's the
like
kind
it.
of the proportions of the creature's eyes
Kind
to the
of
body.
similar. I found this picture online
Mm-hmm.
years later, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks very similar to what I saw."
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept it on. I don't know. I
Well, did it help you get over that
kind of
trauma?
making myself look at it every day
Mhm.
because I was at a point where I couldn't sleep at night without thinking about it. I'd sleep with the TV on.
Since that time.
I was a
So
big deer hunter, didn't want to hunt anymore, didn't want to get in a stand.
could it be that you were maybe taken aboard and
It's
abducted?
totally possible.
I
But
mean,
I honestly don't know.
do you want to be regressed back to
I've
that
been
moment?
told over and over for the last,
Mhm.
you know, 20 years almost that I should have a regression.
I mean, Yvonne Smith
I'd be
is
open
here.
to doing it. I
And
should do
then
it.
you saw the creatures again. What happened over
So,
there?
one of the next times that I saw him, and I don't think this is a public thing. I don't know. It could
I,
be. There's so
I
much
don't
out
know.
there,
I don't know.
I had this sleep paralysis thing for a long time,
But
on and off,
in the middle of the night,
periodically.
you weren't able to move?
Yeah, it is out there. I remember the story being told now, but yeah, I would be laying down in bed, and I would wake up, and I couldn't move. You know, the typical sleep paralysis thing,
I think that's you're half in, half out of your body. I
maybe.
think these ETs sometimes pull people out of their bodies.
Really?
I mean, because that happened to
Yeah,
me.
I've
I'm,
heard it before.
it's happened to me
Really?
where I couldn't wake up.
I
I
didn't
felt
know.
like, yeah, I mean, it's happened to a lot of people. Like, I
I really
felt,
don't know much about you.
well,
I
it's
don't. I
all in
mean
my
that
book.
in a
No, no,
respectful
no.
way.
I wrote about my chapter in the book, Making Contact. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I've had those experiences. I mean,
I
that's why
would
I'm
love to hear all about it.
curious. Well, chapter 7 in Making Contact. But
Okay.
I'll tell you, no, I would wake up actually as I was like many times, like 13, 14, was not able to move. And I would also feel this like vibration in the back of my
No
neck.
way.
Yeah.
I heard this loud womp
Yeah.
womp womp sound, and I felt a vibration too.
But like out of the back of my neck, where
I want to
somebody
do
was
that.
trying to pull me out of my body. I felt that a couple of times.
Really?
And then in order to get back into my body, I would have to like shift my consciousness somehow, like have to like do a somersault in my mind. I don't know how to describe it, but
Well,
somehow I was able to find my way back
yeah,
to the
yeah.
body. But
I've heard similar stories, but
but this moment where you were out of the body, you saw the creatures again.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that I was out of body. I felt like I was laying on the bed
Yeah.
and I could look around and that's it. I was
Mhm.
like looking over with my eyes and off to the right side of my bed there
Mhm.
were I could see those two creatures and then
Do you think they were the same two creatures?
they
You get
were
that?
the same
They
two.
were the
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, because there might be other creatures that have the red, but you felt
Oh,
that.
I see what you. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
well, they're the same type
But they
either
may have
way.
been the same.
They could
And
have. Yeah,
what were
probably.
they doing? Were they part of
They
the
were just.
paralysis though, you felt like?
Um. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really
Mhm.
don't know. I definitely believed on the river that they were controlling me in some fashion.
Do you think they're still connected to
Cause
you?
man, I ride dirt bikes and four-wheelers. I'm a
Yeah.
bear hunter. I
Wow.
hunt. There's nothing been able to scare me like that
Mhm.
before. And
Wow.
for me to be the type of person to be frozen in my spot right
Mhm.
there, that was
But
unusual.
I
I
have to
was
tell you, it's not just that they're strange. There's, in my opinion, I write about this in the book. There's a vibration
yeah,
that we're not used to being around. So when you're in that vibration of these other beings, it completely kind of disconnects us. It over.
I could believe it.
It's a frequency that we're not like
Sure,
when you're with other people, you know who they are. You can, but when
you
you're
can
with
vibe.
these, yeah, their vibration is so weird. Everybody gets distorted. Everyone I know,
Really.
including Whitley Strieber, who's probably the most
So
experienced.
this is a thing that's happened to many,
Yeah.
not
Oh,
just me.
totally. It's some people call it the Oz effect, where they're not just.
Oh,
Some people get freaked out, but some
yeah,
people
freak me out.
just get distorted. It's a distortion in the field because this is my theory, their consciousness is vibrating at a different rate. Like you ever been around like crazy people and you kind of pick up their crazy thought? Well, it's
Yeah,
sort of the opposite. They're around, I mean, not quite the opposite, but they're around this, they're in this field and you're picking up the field, but we can't relate to that field because it's not human.
right.
So it distorts us and it freaks us out because suddenly like we're in this horror movie.
Yeah,
I know I can
yeah.
relate to the fear. So it's a lot of things. It's not total. That's why I love telling these contact stories because it's absolutely not just you. A lot of people,
Beautiful,
yeah. So
beautiful.
it's David Jacobs said, or someone said it's a club no one wants to belong to, basically. But
Makes sense.
it's no, but it's yeah. If you read some other stories, you'll see there's probably a lot of parallels to what you have. The missing time, people think they've been gone, like the Betty and Barney Hill case. You know about
Yeah,
them?
I've heard of them.
They
Yeah,
were this couple in New Hampshire.
they're legendary.
Well, they were the first to report this kind of phenomena,
Sure.
and they were missing for 2 hours. They
Really?
could not explain. And they saw a big orb of light land on the road. They were driving along. The next thing they knew, it was like 2 hours later and they're further down the road. So they didn't remember any of that.
Wow.
And they went to the best specialists in trauma, people who worked with this guy, Benjamin Simon. He worked with World War II veterans who were traumatized from war. He said Betty and Barney Hill were more traumatized than anyone he worked with in heavy combat.
Really?
So, yeah, that's Benjamin Simon.
No way. And they don't remember it.
They didn't remember it. They were regressed, though. So they did remember it
What did
under
they end up remembering?
these beings being taken aboard the ship. I mean, the regress, Betty and Barney were regressed separately.
Hmm.
Barney was much more freaked out and scared. Betty kind of, I think she was more open in the beginning, so she kind of was able to talk to these beings and kind of not be, but she didn't remember it either.
Really?
So they came back. Most people, I don't remember what happened to me when I had my major abduction in
Hmm.
Nebraska, Western Nebraska. So
Wow.
I had to be hypnotized, but even under hypnosis, you don't know if you're making it up
Sure.
or so I don't, I
I mean,
mean,
I mean, even though I saw the things I did with my
right,
eyes,
right.
I still there was times I questioned, am I out of my freaking mind? That I can't believe that happened to me, but it did.
It did.
Yeah.
So I think your story is important because I think that could be a phenomena other people start to experience. And you being okay with it, coming around and saying, okay, maybe that helps other people adjust to
It
their,
takes time,
yeah, I
if
know. I
it could
appreciate
take time, but here I am.
when you feel okay now about talking about it. It's not,
It's a lot easier. And
yeah,
like going back to
yeah.
what happened with my brother thing, I didn't get to finish my train of
Oh,
thought.
yeah.
But with my brother doing his podcast, I regret it instantly.
Mhm.
I wanted to finish that.
Oh, yeah, tell me what.
I don't regret it now. When it finally came out, the episode, I got tons of love from everybody.
Yeah.
I read the comments. I read every one,
Mm.
and people were so loving
Yeah.
that it helped a lot to help open up to some of this stuff.
But is it helping you just to talk about it now so you're
I
more
think so.
integrating it?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot less emotional.
Right.
And I used to have real bad anxiety even talking about it, which is the weirdest thing.
Because of the fear, or what was
It would feel like my mind was going to explode just trying to recount the events. Just trying to tell you what I saw was hard.
because of the trauma that was still left,
I don't know.
but it was anxiety,
Anxiety for sure, yeah.
recounting that.
hmm
What does anxiety feel like when you say anxiety? It's like,
Well, for me, just trying to kind of count, what happened,
you felt
recount.
uneasy, or
Yeah, I would feel uneasy. My mind would literally feel heavy, or like it was gonna pop. And I couldn't get things out. I would get emotional, and I'd give up.
Well, some people think the beings have a control factor where they don't want people to speak about it until
The time's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, could that
It could be. It could be.
But right now you seem pretty okay,
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
and it's good, and I appreciate it because
But even since that I've talked about it a lot since that episode with my brother.
right.
It's helped a lot. With Dad's book.
Mhm.
I've been to a couple of Dad's events, like
Right,
the River Fest. We're going with him selling books to places and all. And
right,
I've talked about it a little more even since that episode.
yeah.
So I'm coming around.
Well, you are, I don't know, key, but a huge part of that whole
Yep.
thing that happened.
To me, I was the main part.
Yeah, you
I'm
probably
kidding.
no, you were a key part
Yeah.
of instigating that,
Sure, I believe it.
and
And the father and the son, and
well, you
these
have Chris
crazy things.
Jr. I mean, not just
Yeah.
well, you have
Yeah.
two brothers, right? Three, but
2 brothers and a sister.
right. So it's like you were somehow key. The reason he went there is because he was worried about you. But can you also, if you don't mind, talk about the sort of miracles that happened in your family? I mean, and like your father talked about really being down and out and awful things, and this whole thing, this whole phenomenon, which is so weird to begin with.
Well, I would say that it brought us all together in an incredible way.
Yeah.
We're stronger together than most families that I see or know.
Mhm.
But that's because we were forced to, face adversity or whatever you'd call
Right.
it. People mocking us and
Well,
putting
did
us
they,
down and all.
because they would mock you because you said you had this experience.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? People can be that stupid
Or that we were dealing with demons. It's a religious area.
because you had an experience they didn't understand.
Yep.
They either said you were crazy or they put you in a box. I mean, that's human. That's humans.
Most of the people I looked up to growing up all had something. My favorite people, they all had something to say.
Isn't that shocking?
Sad, yeah.
But did it also wake you up out of like where are those guys coming from in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
learned a lot about everybody.
Mhm.
Who was there for me, who cared, and how they cared.
Right. And belief systems, right? Like
Yeah.
we're all brought up to believe a certain thing. You have an experience that's outside of that belief system.
That's right. And that alone is a whole nother thing. The pastor, he would tell us that we're dealing with the devil or
Mhm,
demons, and my mind at 17, I'm thinking, I'm not a demon worshiper. I didn't summon any kind of demons.
Right.
And I don't think it was a demon. They didn't kill me. I'm
Right.
not hurt. It was scary, but there were
Mm.
chapters in the Bible where an angel would say, "Fear not."
Right.
So they might have been scary too. So does the pastor really know everything that I always thought he did?
Right. That's disappointing.
And that puts doubt in your mind, against what you always believed in. So that's a weird place to be in.
I know. Well, it's a huge shift. It's a wake up call, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I love religion, for what it is, and I believe I'm not trying to knock any type of religious beliefs at all.
No, you can
It's
still have
all,
religion and have these weird experiences. It doesn't, they
yeah,
don't contradict each other.
maybe they intertwine.
Yeah, exactly. They do. But if you think back, and I appreciate you sharing that, what do you think these beings were? Who were they?
Oh man. Um, I don't know.
Were they
I don't know.
extraterrestrial?
I don't honestly, I don't think that,
What do you
but
think? I'm curious.
I don't think anything's quite what we're all led to believe that it is. I think things are a little different than we believe.
So maybe they came through some dimensional doorways that
Possibly,
are like it's always here.
could be, could be. I don't know.
So you only saw them one time after that initial time.
I had the same sleep paralysis things several times, but
Oh,
I only saw them the one time during that.
mhm.
And I wanted to say one more thing about that.
Yeah,
Um, that night that I had that, I was real scared. I couldn't sleep, and I went into my dad's room and
right,
told him that it had happened.
right.
I was real freaked out, and he told me one thing that always stuck with me. But he said, "If that ever happens to you again, say the name Jesus."
Right.
That's what he said,
Okay.
and it happened again, and but without the creatures that time.
Right. Just
And
paralysis.
but still, I was paralyzed,
Right. Right.
and in my mind, that's the only thing I could think of. I said it, and it immediately all went away,
Oh.
which is it's a weird thing, but I think it comforted me somehow, and I went right back to sleep. Rolled over and went to sleep.
And that was the last time
That
that
was it.
happened.
I didn't stay up all night.
And
Wasn't
did it ever happen
scared.
again after that?
It has happened again after that.
And you still do that same thing, or you're more,
I don't know if I did the last time or not.
but
This has been within the last year that it happened the last
oh,
time.
really? So you're
Yeah,
still, it's
it still
ongoing.
happens sometimes. Yeah,
You think it's
not
a,
as much as you would think
you
though.
think it's a body vibration, like your body is adjusting
The
to,
last time that it happened, I wanted to say
yeah.
I don't know what I think,
No, tell me,
but the
whatever.
last time it happened, I for some reason fell asleep on a couch, and I was laying on the couch, and the same type of thing happened,
Hmm.
and I knew somebody was in the room with me, but I
Yeah.
couldn't see them.
Was
I
it,
could
did it
feel
feel
it.
like those creatures?
I don't know what it felt like. I just know that I knew something freaky was in there with me, and this was like in the last year.
And so did you freak out in the same way, or you
No.
more
I don't,
calm?
honestly, it's kind of weird, man, but I don't get freaked out the same that I used to.
What
I've
do
had
you,
almost 20 years
to integrate it?
yeah,
You did integrate it. So
they don't scare me like they used to, I've
what,
seen hundreds of craps at this
oh, you
point or
have with
more.
out
Yeah.
and
Sky
there,
watching,
what do you
things in the
think?
house, shadow figures in the
Shadow
house.
figures, what were
Yeah, I've
they
seen them.
like?
Um, so there's this one time, and they didn't have the ones I'm talking about right now didn't have any kind of red eyes.
They were just shadowy.
I just saw some shadowy beings. I was sitting
Mm-hmm.
on the front porch with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
um, and at our house there was a long hallway that went
Right.
all the way down the house, and I had a bedroom. I was younger. I had a bedroom over here, and there was a bathroom here,
Right.
and I was with this girl at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and she happened to be in that bathroom,
Right.
taking a shower,
Right.
and I saw a silhouette. I
Come
thought it was her, but a silhouette of her because of the lighting, the way the
right.
lighting was in the house. I thought that it was her going out of the bathroom and into the bedroom, and I just went straight down that hallway, right to her, right to my
Mm-hmm.
bedroom. I didn't turn.
Mm-hmm.
I saw down the hallway the whole time. I went right into my bedroom, and the lights were off and nobody was in there, and she was still in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
but they just looked like two little.
And your mother saw her too,
I
or
don't
you don't
know.
know?
I can't speak. I don't know if
Okay,
she
but
saw
you
them or
saw
not.
these
I saw them
shadowy,
for sure.
and did they feel a little weird, or just
They when I went to the bedroom, they were gone. I saw them walk
were you
from
freaked
one
out
corner.
a
A
little?
little bit, yeah,
It's a little.
yeah. And I was freaked out more so after that, like knowing that that something like that was around.
It sounds like some dimension has opened up
I don't
because of
know.
your father. I mean, but he's totally comfortable. He's seeing it as like a good sign. Like he talks about the lady.
Yeah.
What do you think
Yeah.
of that? Have you
There's been
seen
so
her?
many. No, I haven't.
Okay. Are you
No.
interested in seeing? Because she sounds
Um,
divine. But there's so many
yeah,
incidences.
yeah.
Or you can
There's been so many things. It's crazy to recount everything that's happened. Is unreal.
like all the
We've
or like what?
Yeah, we've had tons of people over
Hmm.
from all walks of life that have seen things with us. You should come over sometime and
I
we'll
do
show
want to
you.
come out to visit you
Yeah, you
guys for
should.
sure. Thanks.
We'll
Yeah.
make you a believer.
I'm a believer. I'm here at this
I'm just
UFO
saying, we'll
conference.
show you something.
No, I do.
You
Well,
come on
tonight
over.
maybe we're going to do some sky watching out there.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I've seen, I was at
We
Mount,
have a beautiful place,
all
a
right,
beautiful
I'm
pond.
going to come by
Yeah, we
and,
might get you some coffee,
oh,
take care of you, you
I
know.
love to visit. I've
Yeah.
been wanting to visit you guys ever since I
Really?
heard of, yeah, I mean, Chris is like the superstar. I mean, he's bringing new energy. He's reformatted the UFO phenomena for people who didn't know what to think of it. We're just focused on, craft or weapons. He's turned it around. I mean, lots of people have in a way that's about consciousness, about awakening. It's about, uplifting the vibration of the planet. This is why I think Chris Bledsoe is so important for this
Thank you.
movement. Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
he's a good guy. And I love when these
He really he's a smart guy too.
he's smart, but he's kind.
Mechanically inclined.
But the government people would come over and say, "Hey, why are they talking to you?" And I say, "Well, look at him. He's peaceful. He's kind. He's compa.
And he
He's
does care.
and he does
He
care. I
does
mean,
care, yeah.
he's a remarkable person. That's why they're talking to him.
Probably,
They're
yeah.
not talking to people making the weapons
Yeah,
for
that's just
war.
want to hurt people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and they
But
lie and
but you're kind of compassionate too. You're part you
I
you
guess
know
you could say
you're
that.
similar to your father in that way.
Sometimes I care too much. It could be a
Well, how could
downfall
you?
almost,
What do you mean you
a
cared?
curse.
What?
We're all like that to a degree. You know, you
Yeah.
can care too much
What?
sometimes.
How could you care too much? Like,
There's, you know, you can care too much what people think. You can
oh, I
care too
see.
much, you know, to a degree that you don't take care of yourself.
Oh,
There's
right,
all
right,
kinds of ways that could work.
right, right,
Like my
right.
mother, she takes care of everybody else and does little for herself.
She's an incredible person.
Yeah, outside of this, at home, she
Mhm.
takes care of her mother, her brother,
Oh,
this and
right.
that. And
She's so funny to
so,
your
yeah,
mother. I think
she is an angel.
and she's so smart.
She
She's the
is.
smartest one in the
She
family,
might
right?
be, dude. She
I
might be.
always get this great intelligence
Yeah.
and this
She
humor.
plays dumb,
No,
actually. She's
well,
very,
I
very
could tell
intelligent.
she's
Yeah,
really smart, just
she
like the
is.
comments she makes. And
She's very smart.
but she doesn't really want to be. We don't have to talk about it. She doesn't
Yeah,
really want to be associated with this
the
whole.
UFOs thing.
But your brother really is totally into it, Ryan, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's also very smart.
Yeah, no, the
He's
whole
very
family.
smart. Yeah.
But he kind of integrated it more immediately
Hmm.
because he wasn't traumatized by the
The same. Yeah.
But he's seen stuff now too, right?
Yeah, and he has a different type of trauma, I would think, because I'd say
Really?
we all are to a degree
Mm.
with the ridicule and
Oh, right. That's trauma
because
from
that, yeah, it can
people.
be trauma.
No, people
Be
can be
traumatizing.
really,
Brutal.
yeah.
Man,
We have more to fear from people than we do from these
I
creatures.
think so. I believe that's right. Yeah.
So I know I asked you before what you make of it all, but is it going anywhere? I mean, you're evolving somehow. What about, I mean, you're here at this conference and people are really nice and
I
friendly.
think just being here alone means it's going somewhere.
Mhm.
You know,
Where might it be going?
it's hard for me to say.
I don't know either, but could it
You need
be?
to have my dad on your show.
No, I have talked
You
to him,
have to.
but not, I haven't talked, I do want to have him on the show talking about this,
I think it's going to go somewhere. I don't know where though.
but let's say I mean, I think it could go to where on a planetary level,
Hmm.
maybe more people have these experiences. So listening to
Oh yeah,
you, it's more
definitely.
of an
That's
integration.
already happening.
Yeah,
That's already
exactly.
happening. We've had, you know, 100 people at a time have experiences.
Right.
300 one time, I think.
So it's like a dimensional shift is what I
Yeah.
think it is, where I mean your consciousness has changed, right? I
Oh,
mean,
definitely. Yeah.
you've expanded, and certainly your father's consciousness is way beyond where it
In
was.
ways we probably don't understand.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think, you, your family, that, because, they're all great, humble people. They help to integrate this phenomena into a kind of bigger context of the world. It's not just one little family there in North Carolina having these weird experiences like you see on some,
Sci-fi
yeah,
show,
right,
yeah.
exactly. It's like thousands of people coming together
Hmm.
to share their
Yeah.
experiences.
I love it.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean,
I never knew you before, and I mean it in the
yeah,
most wonderful way. But because, like I said, I didn't study this stuff. I
right.
came here not knowing all the great people that are here. I just never really learned it. I was forced into it, but You're an awesome dude.
Oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah, I haven't given anybody the opportunity, but
I,
I could tell right away that you meant well.
I think this, thank you.
I have a way of reading people,
You
kind
do.
of, yeah, and
I just want people to know what's possible. And I
yeah,
appreciate, yeah, you
yeah.
haven't really, you only told your brother's story. I feel like,
I was on his podcast, and I did the Beyond Skinwalker Ranch thing with my dad. The whole
oh,
family
I
came
didn't
up.
see that one. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it was a little TV show that we did.
but, but thank you for opening up. I mean, I hear a lot of these stories and,
I didn't tell this much on the Skinwalker show.
oh,
I didn't tell my story, I don't believe, on the show.
the personal story
Not
is
really.
what, I mean, I know you're married with children. How do
I'm not
they,
married yet.
oh, you're not, but you're
Yeah,
with
but
some,
it will
but
be happening soon.
right. Well, congratulations.
Mhm.
But how do they take what happened? I mean, how does
Jessica and the
yeah,
family.
your immediate your
Oh,
children. I mean, are
um,
they
Teddy's 5. He's been raised in it, so it's like he doesn't know any different.
it's just natural for
Yeah,
him?
it's natural for him. But we do still try to keep him out of
Yeah.
stuff. We don't want him too involved
No, but
in the light.
right,
We don't
right.
want people to see
But
him that much.
I don't think it's going to be as weird as it used to be.
Oh, and it's already not.
Right,
In 2007, it was real weird.
right. And now
But now, I mean, it's cool. It's cool now to people. People think this stuff is cool
it
now.
is
It's different. It's a different world.
this conference here, Contact in the Desert, there's like what, maybe 3,000 people that
Mhm.
are totally open, really friendly, really
Yeah,
pushing the envelope.
awesome place.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're trying to make a difference in about this program is called New Realities. I do it because I say it's called that because it is about thinking,
Forming new realities.
yeah, thinking differently, having new perceptions. Reality is what you perceive. So
Sure.
people coming on, I can't argue with your experience. No one can say your experience isn't true because it's real for you. And I had my experiences. So people can even take it or leave it, but people are sharing. There's no reason you just make or anybody at this conference. So we have to trust people to share an experience because if it's real for you, it's somehow affected. I feel that reality in a bigger way. So it expands my reality. That's kind of what's behind your reality. It's like your reality, because I trust you. I don't know you very well, but I can see you're sincere. Your father's an amazing, sincere person. These things happen. We have to accept that there's more to this world than we've been told. Just like you
That's
brought
a nice
up
way to put it.
with your pastor, you would believe that certain things only because he didn't know
Yeah.
that was
You can't blame him for it.
No.
What he thought.
but the difference, but this between this time is and that time maybe is that people's new experiences have to be accepted.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to be. There are people who, and you can tell when someone's just,
And there's going to be so many more that come out, I'm sure.
Mhm.
And,
yeah.
it's happening to people. I don't know completely what it is. I can't say.
Nobody
for
knows
sure,
what it is. That's what
but
makes this
something's happening.
such a phenomenon. That's what makes it, for me,
Yeah.
this is what makes it so interesting is that nobody understands it. Absolutely. I talk to the expert. I've been doing this for 30 years. Everyone has a slight, talk to someone like Gary Nolan or Hal Puthoff or,
Right.
even John, what's this guy's name who wrote the forward for you? John Alexander.
Yeah. Yeah.
These guys may know a little bit
They're
more.
incredible guys, but
They may know a little bit more, but no one. This is a phenomenon.
I heard somebody say at this event that it's like trying to put a 1,000-piece puzzle together and you have two pieces.
Right.
That's kind of how it is.
But that's what's so exciting about this
Yeah,
time. And this is my belief. Reality is unfolding
Mhm.
in a way that we didn't think was possible before. So I think the same thing about the phenomena people aren't believing, moving into a future where things are possible, are things people from the last century, let's call it the 20th century,
Mhm.
weren't even able to consider,
Sure.
unless they were mystics or had some, but they were rare. Now we're having this common conversation about amazing things. And I don't know if it's typical, but it's integratable somehow. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have that experience of those beings looking at me.
Glad you did too.
But Did you see James Fox's movie?
I didn't, but I've seen some of the Brazil stuff.
Did you show him the thing
I
where
did.
there's,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, those are
yeah,
the beings he pictures in Brazil of
yeah.
these beings with red eyes.
He's.
So,
I think he said something like, you might be one of the only other cases I've seen that had the beings with the red eyes.
right.
One of the few.
So I don't know what to make of it either. I just
Yeah.
like having people share their story because it
I
makes,
don't know what to make of either, but I can tell you something's happening.
but it also makes it easier for someone else to share their story. I mean, I think if enough people
Yeah.
share their, you know who Whitley Strieber is?
I met him this weekend. Yeah.
Communion, he wrote the picture with the alien on the cover. He said when he wrote that book, it was a bestseller. He got 200,000 letters from people around the world saying they saw that same creature.
Really?
200,000 letters he and his wife received.
It's funny you say that because, even with the little YouTube thing that I did with my brother, I had several people reach out to me say I saw the same exact thing. Several.
So the more we talk about it, I think the more we can integrate it because the government, the religions, the media, they want to keep us in a little box of what's possible.
Mm-hmm. They want to control it.
They totally want to control it because then they can control people.
Sure.
But if we start talking about what's outside the box, we start to experience freedom of thought, freedom of mind. We start to break out of the control mechanism. I'm not like a big conspiracy person, but
me neither.
There's a kind of like way people are supposed to think and reality. Galileo was put under house arrest because he said he took a telescope and pointed at the sky and said, "Yep, the Earth is not the center of." You know what they said to Galileo? They used it as a spyglass to see like things in the distance, or really, telescope. This is what I heard. He pointed at the sky and the church said, we know what's up there, and plus God doesn't want you looking in on him because that's his bedroom.
What? Seriously?
That's what he said to Galileo. We know what's up there. I thought that was, at least that's
hilarious.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is funny.
So people weren't allowed to do things or think things, but he was the first scientist, Galileo. He would do measurable things,
and they're still doing the same thing to us today.
They are.
Yeah.
They're controlling us. They're really
sure.
The Air Force was paid or.
It's wonderful to hear you say that because I think that way all the time.
Right.
They definitely control it.
The Air Force was told by the government to purposely debunk anyone who came forward and claiming to have a UFO.
Yeah,
experience.
I've heard that.
That was Project Blue Book. There's still a lot of unsolved cases, but they said case closed,
Yeah.
So
they try to shadow ban us.
Oh, they did?
Evidence of it too, yeah.
What did they do to you?
Well, not to me personally, but to
your
family.
Yeah, what did they do?
They've videos and
who's doing this to you? Who was
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Like media or government or
I couldn't tell you, but
right.
it feels that way. My dad did a podcast about a year ago with a guy, and he has a lot of viewers, and it got something like 1 million views in a day or two, and then the next day there's nothing.
Oh,
and the guy
that was Danny Jones,
that's
wasn't
right.
it? Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he reposted it, I believe, a couple times, and the same thing happened every time. He'd get like 1 million views in a day, and then the next day there's nothing.
That's a good interview. Really.
Yeah. And I had buddies who were texted. This is strange. I don't know if it's true, but I've been told that they were texting on the video.
Oh, on the chat,
and their texts weren't even coming through.
Wow.
They would never go through.
That was a good video. Chris said more on that video than he did on a lot of videos.
Yeah, it was a good video. I did see that one.
But do you feel like going out there?
I haven't even seen all of my dad's videos. Not even remotely close.
He's done a lot.
I know. I've seen like 20 of them maybe.
And I have a couple of like roundtables he did with me and some other people at some conferences. Yeah.
I don't think I've even seen them.
Yeah, he's done a couple of.
Honestly,
I think I did 2 roundtables with me. That's how I originally met him.
He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to speak out.
Yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah. Are you willing to speak out more?
I'm here.
Thank you, my friend.
I'm with you.
Chris Bledsoe.
Yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Hey, it's been an honor for me, for you. I hope you take.
No, we're with the legendary Mr. Steinfeld. That's my honor, really.
I don't know. I've just been obsessed with the subject for a long time. So I don't know what to make of it, but I love hearing stories, real stories of people who've had experience, because it expands me every time I hear what's possible. So thank
Sure.
you for watching. Thanks, Chris Bledsoe Jr., for being the origin of it all. The guy who started at 17. I mean, if you didn't get into the woods, who knows? It would have
I
been,
might have had a different life.
and your whole family may have been, the world may have been different, but maybe
Yeah.
you were doing what you're part of a
What I
bigger,
was supposed to do.
yeah.
That's probably why I didn't know why I went to the edge of the wood line.
Right.
I just ended up in there.
But maybe there was this future unfolding that,
It was supposed to happen.
yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes you have to accept things you don't want to.
wow,
Mhm.
that's a good thing to take home with you.
Yeah.
But in a way, are you happy that it all kind of,
I wouldn't change anything about the
really,
way it all turned out. Yeah.
wow.
I mean, I've learned a lot. I didn't always feel that way.
What did
There's
you
a
learn?
lot you haven't heard. I didn't even, there's not enough time
I
in this
know.
to tell my whole
We'll do a
story.
part two, but what did you learn? We'll do it, yeah.
Oh man, I I don't know. I feel like I'm a happy-go-lucky person all the time, almost
Because of
always.
that
I
experience.
wouldn't say just because of that, but I went through a lot of dark roads.
Yeah.
You know, I really I moved all over the place. I lived here in California for a little while. I've lived in
After that
Michigan.
incident,
Yeah, I hated it. I hated the whole
you were
thing.
running from
I
it.
ran from it. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know
and
that. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
And
There's a lot more.
and
And
then you've come back home and
I came back around.
mhm,
Moved back with the family. And I don't know. I put myself through so much,
right.
and I went through so many hard times with struggling with the family and everything else that I did and all that. You know, now I can enjoy little things in life.
Mm. I would
I
say
appreciate more.
your family is the tightest group of
Mhm.
people, love, support. They're there for it. It's just really great to see everyone be there for each other. You had to be, right?
Yeah, we had no choice.
Isn't that
We were
amazing?
all we had for a while.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is, yeah. I'm
Thank
very
you.
thankful to be a part of my family for sure.
They're all great. They're all great.
Yeah.
People. All very solid, core,
Thank you.
loving people.
Thank you.
And
We try.
well, you're doing it, and I appreciate it. Thanks
It's
so
my
much
pleasure.
for being on this show. I appreciate you and Alan Steinfeld for New Realities, and we'll have more fantastic stories. Not even fantastic; they're just things we have to all integrate into this
Sure.
culture. Thanks so much for watching. You can email me, or do you want people to reach you anyhow? An email?
I'm on Instagram.
All right, Instagram.
Yeah, Chris Bledsoe Jr. I believe.
All
Chris
right.
underscore whatever Jr.
All right.
It's easy to find me.
All right. If you have to reach out,
Yeah.
or reach out, put a comment, and thanks so much for watching.